Matt Shepard was a real person whose death affected people in very personal ways. Whereas in the same vein, Matthew Shepard affected the world, and he's famous and he's brought change.
Matthew Shepard was not the first or the biggest or even the most horrendous. What he was is the most visible. Seeing this young man with his life taken and beaten, it happened to be a perfect storm.
Going into this project, I was very nervous because we're all playing so many different characters, but our director, Paul Makovac, really created a wonderful environment to create in. There was never pressure, or I never felt embarrassed for trying new things.
I think that everybody's really grasped what the point of this project is, and I think that we've all done a really great job with it. And Mr. Paul has given us what we need for the process, and I think that everything's coming together really well, and I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come, so I hope you guys enjoy it.
The Laramie Project deals with the aftermath of the beating and murder of Matthew Shepard by Russell Henderson and Aaron McKinney. And it also deals with how the town reacts to this and comes to understand its responsibility immediately following the crime itself and the ensuing trial. And the Laramie Project 10 years later takes a step back and looks at both the impact that Matthew Shepard had as essentially an icon for the anti-hate crime movement, and also how societies like Laramie kind of lash against certain aspects of the case.
The Laramie Project 10 years later is like an epilogue to the Laramie Project 1. There are 2 acts within each play, and we actually made it different than what is actually written in the script. In the first script, we changed when the act changes. And I really like where we changed it, because where we end Act 1 in the first play is incredibly powerful, and it just will leave the audience wondering what's going to happen next and what's going to happen with these characters.
What I think is most fascinating about the Laramie Project and its epilogue structurally is the nature of the language. Because these are completely derived from interviews and journal entries and trial transcripts, there are very few big moments or poetic declarations. It's just real people making real, simple errors and steps in their speech, and so when you watch it, it looks like you're watching actual people. You hear their ums and ms and I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, and it really feels like you're not watching actors. It feels like you are watching these people from Laramie, and hopefully we'll be able to do those people honor.
I know the cast, the production team, I think we all are appreciating the reality of what happened and the people who went through all of this, and how it's kind of a microcosm of what is still happening in the world. And I think an important thing we're all trying to achieve is to just give all these people justice and display what happened accurately. And that's difficult because it's hard to portray ideals that you don't agree with.
Since they're not characters, they're people, and we're supposed to not try to be, characters, if that makes sense. It's interesting because you don't put on a voice and just be like, oh, I think this way. It's like the whole body, and you literally have to change the way you walk and the way you talk and everything, how you feel about stuff, and for me, that's difficult.
As actors, we try to be as honest as we can with the lines that we're given, but these are real people, and I think the pressure to be as honest as we could was really there, trying to tell their stories.
I think that this is a very, very important show, and I encourage everyone to see it. And I really hope that it makes people reflect on hate, and hate not just towards gay people, but hate towards different races, different religions, everything. And I think it's something that we can relate to so much that's going on in our world today.
I think the show is still important and still relevant because we have so many hate crimes going on constantly across America. It wasn't some isolated incident that happened so long ago. It's still happening today with trans youth, still with gay youth, queer youth. It doesn't matter. It's still happening. And I'm very honored to tell this story because I want people to leave the theater being like, okay, what are my prejudices? What do I have to examine about me and change about myself to make sure things like this don't happen again?
I truly hope that everybody watching this gets a sense of the magnitude of evil that was involved in this case, but also gets a sense of what still exists and is still out there, and gets a desire to do something about it, and puts that forward.